This is activity number 2 for lesson B-13. For this activity, you will need the assembled Raspberry Pi setup from previous activities, the assembled circuit from the last activity, a short male-to-male jumper wire, a long male-to-male jumper wire, and an IR obstacle sensor. In this activity, you will install the IR obstacle sensor and connect its output to the input of channel 1 on the level shifter. You will then test the existing program using the input coming from the new sensor. First, shut down your Raspberry Pi so modifications can be made to the circuitry on your breadboard. The circuitry on the IR obstacle sensor will be taking care of sending both high and low signals to the level shifter, so the 10,000 ohm pull-down resistor on channel 1 is no longer needed. Remove the 10,000 ohm resistor between N133 and B33. Relocate one end of the channel 1 input jumper wire from P237 over to B48. This will be used to connect to the output of the new sensor. The obstacle sensor will need 5-volt power and ground connections. For ground, add a short jumper wire between N149 and A49. To supply 5 volts, connect a jumper wire between C50 and P243. Your breadboard should now look like this. It's time to install the IR obstacle sensor. It is critical that the sensor is installed in the correct direction, as reversing it could cause damage to the sensor on your Pi. The pins on the sensor are labeled Out, Ground, and VCC from left to right. You will notice that the previous step had you connect rows 48, 49, and 50 so those signals are available to the sensor. Check the markings directly above the pins on the sensor and insert the sensor into the breadboard in column E so that Out is in E48, Ground is in E49, and VCC is in E50. Power up your Pi and run the program you saved during the last activity. Instead of manually moving a jumper wire to simulate high and low, the IR obstacle sensor will now be supplying high and low signals based on whether an obstacle is detected. If no obstacle is detected, the sensor output will be low and the LED will remain green. If an obstacle is detected, the sensor output will switch to high and the LED will be red. Simulate an object by lowering a piece of paper in front of the sensor. At some point around 3 to 5 centimeters, your object will be detected by the sensor and the LED will change state. Your hand may work to trigger the sensor, but the human body is not a very good reflector of infrared waves, so your hand may need to be even closer to trigger the sensor. Power down your Pi in preparation for the next activity, where you'll add the infrared line sensor to the circuit.